Chapter 11. Now King Solomon loved many foreign women, besides the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites, of the nations concerning which the Lord said unto the children of Israel, You shall not go among them, neither shall they come among you, for surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon did cleave unto these in love. And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. For it came to pass when Solomon was old, that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not whole with the Lord his God, as was the heart of David his father. For Solomon went after Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Zidonians, and after Milcom, the detestation of the Ammonites. And Solomon did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, and went not fully after the Lord as David his father. Then did Solomon build a high place for Chemosh, the detestation of Moab, in the mount that is before Jerusalem, and for Molech, the detestation of the children of Ammon. And so did he for all his foreign wives, who offered and sacrificed unto their gods. And the Lord was angry with Solomon, because his heart was turned away from the Lord, the God of Israel, who had appeared unto him twice. And he had commanded him concerning this thing, that he should not go after other gods. But he kept not that which the Lord commanded. Wherefore the Lord said unto Solomon, Forasmuch as this hath been in your mind, and you have not kept my covenant and my statutes, which I have commanded you, I will surely rend the kingdom from you, and will give it to your servant. Notwithstanding, in your days I will not do it for David your father's sake, but I will rend it out of the hand of your son. However, I will not rend away all the kingdom, but I will give one tribe to your son, for David my servant's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, which I have chosen. And the Lord raised up an adversary unto Solomon, Hadad the Edomite. He was of the king's seed in Edom. For it came to pass, when David was in Edom, and Joab the captain of the host was gone up to bury the slain, and had smitten every male in Edom, for Joab and all of Israel remained there 6 months, until he had cut off every male in Edom, that Hadad fled, he and certain Edomites of his father's servants with him, to go into Egypt, Hadad being yet a little child. And they arose out of Midian, and came to Paran, and they took men with them out of Paran, and they came to Egypt, unto Pharaoh king of Egypt, who gave him a house, and appointed him victuals, and gave him land. And Hadad found great favor in the sight of Pharaoh, so that he gave him to wife the sister of his own wife, the sister of Tahpenes the queen. And the sister of Tahpenes bore him Genubath his son, whom Tahpenes weaned in Pharaoh's house, and Genubath was in Pharaoh's house among the sons of Pharaoh. And when Hadad heard in Egypt that David slept with his fathers, and that Joab the captain of the host was dead, Hadad said to Pharaoh, Let me depart, that I may go to mine own country. Then Pharaoh said unto him, But what have you lacked with me, that, behold, you seekest to go to your own country? And he answered, Nothing, however, let me depart in any wise. And God raised up another adversary unto him, Rezon the son of Eliadah, who had fled from his lord Hadadezer, king of Zobah. And he gathered men unto him, and became captain over a troop, when David slew them of Zobah. And they went to Damascus, and dwelt therein, and reigned in Damascus. And he was an adversary to Israel all the days of Solomon, beside the mischief that Hadad did. And he abhorred Israel, and reigned over Aram. And Jeroboam the son of Nebat, an Ephraimite of Zeradah, a servant of Solomon, whose mother's name was Zeruiah, a widow, he also lifted up his hand against the king. And this was the cause that he lifted up his hand against the king. Solomon built Millo, and repaired the breach of the city of David his father. And the man Jeroboam was a mighty man of valor, and Solomon saw the young man that he was industrious, And he gave him charge over all the labor of the house of Joseph. And it came to pass at that time, when Jeroboam went out of Jerusalem, that the prophet Ahijah the Shilonite found him in the way. Now Ahijah had clad himself with a new garment, and they two were alone in the field. And Ahijah laid hold of the new garment that was on him, and rent it into 12 pieces. And he said to Jeroboam, Take you 10 pieces, for thus saith the Lord, the God of Israel, Behold, I will rend the kingdom out of the hand of Solomon, and will give 10 tribes to you. But he shall have 1 tribe, for my servant David's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, the city which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, because they have forsaken me, and have worshipped Ashtaroth, the goddess of the Zidonians, Chemosh, the god of Moab, and Milcom, the god of children of Ammon. And they have not walked in my ways, to do that which is right in mine eyes, and keep my statutes and my ordinances, as David his father. However, I will not take the whole kingdom out of his hand, but I will make him prince over all the days of his life, for David my servant's sake, whom I chose because he kept my commandments and my statutes. But I will take the kingdom out of his son's hand, and will give it unto you, even 10 tribes. And unto his son will I give 1 tribe, that David my servant may have a lamp always before me in Jerusalem, the city which I have chosen me to put my name there. And I will take you, and you shall reign over all that your soul desires, and shall be king over Israel. And it shall be, if you will hearken unto all that I command you, and will walk in my ways, and do that which is right in mine eyes, to keep my statutes and my commandments, as David my servant did, that I will be with you, and will build you a sure house, as I built for David, and will give you Israel unto you. And I will for this afflict the seed of David, but not forever. Solomon sought therefore to kill Jeroboam. But Jeroboam arose and fled into Egypt unto Shishak, the king of Egypt, and was in Egypt until the death of Solomon. Now the rest of the acts of Solomon, and all that he did, and his wisdom, and that are they not written in the book of the acts of Solomon? And the time that Solomon reigned in Jerusalem over all Israel was 40 years. And Solomon slept with his fathers, and was buried in the city of David his father, and Rehoboam his son reigned in his stead. All right, let's go back to verse 1. Now, we'll remember, yesterday we was talking about all the wealth and the great riches of the kingdom of Solomon, and all the gold and stuff it took to run the kingdom. But today we're going to find out about it, what's been going on the whole time. Called out a few other mistakes that was going on. But this wasn't the main thing, and this is what we're going to find out about, starting in verse 1. Now King Solomon loved many foreign women, besides the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, and Ammonites, and Edomites, and the Zidonians, and the Hittites. So we're going to find out now. Solomon has took to himself many wives, many women. Woman means from man, these teachings of men. And this, besides the daughter of Pharaoh, the great house, the women of the Moabites, those that are like their father, and the Ammonites, those of all the nations. The Edomites are those that show blood in the flesh. Zidonians are fishermen, and the Hittites are the descendants of Terah. Of the nations, verse 2, concerning which the Lord said unto the children of Israel, You shall not go among them, neither shall they come among you, for surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon did cleave unto these in love. And we'll remember in Deuteronomy, God commanded Israel, Now you shall not take these to be your wives of these nations, which I go in to drive out before you, or shall you give your daughters to them, because they will turn away your hearts after these gods that they worship, these gods that God had given them, the whole host, because they had already strayed from this covenant God had made with Noah. These are all the descendants of Noah and Lot, Moab and Ammon. and Edom. Those were Esau's children. Verse 3, and he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. So we'll find out now, Solomon's got 700 wives that are princesses. These are daughters of kings. 700 of them. Perfection, God's perfect judgment now, comes in these wives, these ones he takes to himself, these teachings. 300 now, this will be the complete judgment of God. And these concubines are ones he's took unto him to bear children. See, they're not really wives, they're just basically used to have children. And all these turned away his heart. See, they all were of foreign nations, and by violating the law, they have turned away his heart, or led him astray. For it came to pass when Solomon was old, that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, these not gods, and his heart was not whole with the Lord his God, as was the heart of David his father. So we'll see now, Solomon's wives have become a temptation to him, and they've led him astray, I guess, in his attempt to appease them in their desires. And we're going to find out this has a great amount of understanding in the end time. 5, for Solomon went after Ashtaroth, the goddess of the Zidonians, and after Milcom, the detestation of the Ammonites. And these Zidonians are these fishermen, these ones who fish. And this Ashtaroth, she is the goddess, or this not a goddess. These are all hand-whittled by men. Of Ash, she's the Ashtar, and we would later refer this to as Easter. This ritual of fertility they still celebrate today. This still goes on, and these still being done by the Zidonians. All these rituals, we find out, well, they've changed their face and they've changed their image a little bit, but they're very much intact still today. And after Milcom, this detestation of the Ammonites, of all the nations, this Milcom, this is a nasty little thing here. And this Milcom, let me tell you what it is. This Milcom is a head. Now, this head stands for a godhead, and sometimes this would be a actual human head, and sometimes this would be just a head that was made out of a stone or a piece of wood, whittled out. But in its mouth, now, they would take and they would write the name of this deity on it, and on a gold plate, and they would stick it in its mouth, so that the gold plate was in its mouth to represent the fact that this Godhead had the word of the deity. 6, and Solomon did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, and went not fully after the Lord, as David his father. And we'll see that Solomon was following after these abominations. These are abominations unto God. These are things that man have made and tried to give some kind of power and authority. And only God has power and authority, see. God has done all this. God done all this to these nations because they turned from God. And God has done this. This is a big wheel that goes round and round. 7. Then did Solomon build a high place for Chemosh, the detestation of Moab, in the mount that is before Jerusalem, and for Molech, the detestation of the children of Ammon. We'll see now. Solomon has built this high place, this altar, this high place that is before this not a god Chemosh, this detestation of the Moab. These ones are just like their father. And we're going to find out in the end, see, the idea is to separate these out. And Chemosh was this not a god, and the rituals of man caused their children to pass through this fire. And what they did was actually offer human sacrifice. These young little children, young little girls who were virgin because they were so young, now they would cause them to be burnt alive. This is a detestation. God does not like this. It's an abomination. It still goes on today. How they cause their children to pass through this fire, this consuming fire. They teach their children to be disobedient to the law of God. And he built this now before Jerusalem. And this is Mount. This is so you could see it now from this holy place where God has chosen now to put his name. Molech means king. This king god they made for themselves, this Milcom, that Ammon, these nations had made. And we're going to find out this all goes on today. Nothing has changed. 8. And so did he for all his foreign wives, who offered and sacrificed unto their gods. And these wives, once again, are these teachings of men that are suffered in the end. These teachings that this place is made wide to accept all of them, see. But God's law is straight and clear. These are all violations of the law of God. 9, and the Lord was angry with Solomon, because his heart was turned away from the Lord, the God of Israel, who had appeared unto him twice. Twice witness now. God had appeared unto Solomon as a witness that he was God. But Solomon had rejected. He went straying after these things that he know are not gods. These are the works of the hands of men. Men have made these things. With their hands and with their mouth have they built it up. 10, and he commanded him concerning this thing, that he should not go after other gods, these not gods, but he kept not that which the Lord commanded. And we're going to find out that's exactly what God told him. If you will follow me with your whole heart. If. But we're going to find out now about this place that's made wide for these other nations. 11. Wherefore the Lord said unto Solomon, forasmuch as this hath been in your mind, and you have not kept my covenant and my statutes which I have commanded you, I will surely rend the kingdom from you, and will give it to your servant. So now God's told Solomon, because this is what you wanted to do. This is what you want to do. You wanted to go after chasing all this. And you've not kept my commandment. You've not kept my statutes. One thing's for sure, he's not got a copy of the book right there beside him. And he's not stayed in it day or night, or he would know better. 12. Notwithstanding, in your days, I will not do it for David your father's sake, but I will rend it out of the hand of your son. And we're going to find out now. This is what's going to happen. See, God holds back his anger for David, his father's sake. But now, as soon as his son comes, as soon as his son takes over, he's going to tear this kingdom away from him. 13, however, I will not rend it away all the kingdom, but will give one tribe to your son for David, my servant's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, which I have chosen. So, God said, telling Solomon now, I won't take all the kingdom away, but I'm going to leave you one tribe. And we're going to find out now, he leaves him one. He gives 10 to his adversary that's going to be raised up, we're going to find out about. And the one that is left, that's 11, and there's one that's left. This is still God's chosen one. This is going to be Levi. 14, and the Lord raised up an adversary unto Solomon, Hadad the Edomite. He was of the king's seed in Edom. So we're going to find out now. God's going to raise up an adversary. He's going to start causing Solomon a little trouble. Why? Because he's went sinning after these other not gods. He's going to raise up to him an adversary named Hadad. And Hadad means the mighty moves softly. And he's an Edomite, the one that shows blood in the flesh. And he's of the king's seed. He's born of Solomon's seed. He's one of the many wives that Solomon has in Edom. These are the ones who would show blood in the flesh. For it came to pass, when David was in Edom, and Joab, the captain of the host, was gone up to bury the slain, and had smitten every male in Edom. And this story wasn't covered quite very good in what we've read, but now we see now David and Joab. Joab, God his father, was the captain of the host of the armies of David. Joab's the one they killed there by the altar. He was clinging to the horns when he died. And we'll see now Joab had went up to cut off all the house of Edom from being alive. And this is what he attempted to do. 16, for Joab and all Israel remained there for 6 months until he had cut off every male of Edom. And he was trying to exterminate the house of Edom. Edom was the brother, Esau was the brother of Jacob. And these are relatives. God didn't want Israel to come against Edom because he had given Edom Mount Seir. And this 6 months now, this 6 days you'll do your work. This is going to represent the labor of man, and the months is a period of time under the lesser light. That Hadad fled, 17. Now, during this time when Joab was trying to wipe out Edom, Hadad has fled, 17. He and certain Edomites of his father's servants with him to go into Egypt, and Hadad being yet a little child. So Hadad has been taken with some of the servants of his fathers, and they've went into Egypt, and Hadad's just a child. Egypt is going to be this land of enclosures. And they rose out of Midian, 18, and came to Paran, and they took men of them out of Paran, and they came to Egypt unto Pharaoh king of Egypt, who gave him a house, and appointed him victuals, and gave him land. So now Hadad and some of these men, they went to Midian after they fled from Edom. And Midian is a place of strife. It means strife, or to have strife. And they've left out of there, and they've came to Paran. And Paran is this place of holes, this place of caves, this hiding place. And then they've come from there, and they've went on to Egypt. And Egypt, once again, is this land of enclosures, and they've come to the great house of Egypt, the great house. And Pharaoh means the great house, the king's house of this land of enclosures. And this king gives him a house, and gives him food and everything he needs, and gives him land, gives him a place to live, and sets him up a place to dwell there. 19, and Hadad found great favor in the sight of Pharaoh, so that he gave him to wife the sister of his own wife, the sister of Tahpenes, the queen. So we find that this Hadad, the mighty one who moves softly, has found great favor in the great house, and the king, Pharaoh, is giving the sister of his own wife to marry, the sister of Tahpenes, and Tahpenes means the king's wife. 20, and the sister of Tahpenes bore him Genubath, his son, who Tahpenes weaned in Pharaoh's house, and Genubath was in Pharaoh's house among the sons of Pharaoh. So this sister of Tahpenes, the sister of the king's wife, has bore unto Hadad, this mighty one who moves softly, his son. And his son's name is Genubath. And Genubath means to steal away. It basically means a thief. And he's in the great house. And he's among the sons of the great house. 21. And when Hadad heard in Egypt that David slept with his fathers, and that Joab the captain of the host was dead, Hadad said to Pharaoh, let me depart, that I may go into my own country. Now, so words got back to Hadad now. This is that David has died, and Joab's been killed. And Hadad tells Pharaoh that he wants to go on back to his own country, back to his own land where he was from. 22, then Pharaoh said unto him, but what have you lacked with me, that behold, you seek us to go to your own country? And he answered, nothing. However, let me depart in any wise. So Pharaoh's wanting to know from this mighty one who moves softly, just why do you want to go back to your own land? You've not lacked nothing here in my house. And Hadad says, no, I haven't, but let me go anyway. 23, because it's of God, and God's sending Hadad back to cause Solomon all the trouble he can. 23, and God raised up another adversary unto him, Rezon, the son of Eliadah, who had fled from his lord Hadadezer, king of Zobah. And we'll remember Zobah. Zobah is this station place, this post, this place of stationing. And Hadadzer, he's the king of it. And Hadadzer, much like Hadad, Hadadzer means the mighty one moves softly to support or to help, to aid. And Rezon, he was the son of Eliadah, and he was a servant unto Hadadzer. And Rezon means a commander. He's a commander, or this princely one. And he's the son of Eliadah. And Eliadah means the mighty one understands. 24, and he gathered men unto him, and became a captain over a troop, when David slew them of Zebah, and they went to Damascus, and dwelt therein, and reigned in Damascus. So we're going to find out now, this Rezon, when David and them come to Zebah to slay the people thereof, and Zebah was this place of the post, this place of positioning. And after David has come there and slayed Rezon, and he takes his little army. He's got a small band of an army, and he goes up to Damascus. And Damascus, Silent is the sackcloth weaver, and he was an adversary, 25, to Israel all the days of Solomon, besides the mischief that Hadad did. And he abhorred Israel, and he reigned over Aram. And Aram are these enlightened ones, these ones that have been lifted up in understanding. This is where Abraham was from. See, and this Rezon, he's going to go rule over these of the ones of enlightened ones. He's going to be their commander, or the princely one over these. 26, and Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, an Ephraimite of Zeradah, a servant of Solomon, whose mother's name was Zeruiah, a widow, he also lifted up his hand against the king. And Jeroboam is the one we're going to find out that is going to be the icing on the cake. Jeroboam means striving with the nations, or this strife that shall be sent now to the nations, would be better off to explain it. And he is the son of Nebat, and Nebat means in regards, to have something to do with. This is because of, and he is the Ephraimite, and this simply means those that are of the double-fruited, those that are double-fruited. And he is from Zeradah, and Zeradah means this fortress of piercing, this place of piercing. And we've heard all this talked about now in the prophecies before. And he was a servant to Solomon, and his mother's name was Zeruiah, and she was a widow. And Zeruiah means she's already got a disease in her flesh. She's already diseased now. This is to be broken now in the flesh. 27, and this was the cause that he lifted up his hand against the king. Solomon built Millo, and repaired the breach of the city of David his father. And Millo was the city of David. Yes, Millo was the city of David. And Millo means this rampart, this ramp that is built up to get over the wall. And that's what it is. That's what it represents. And this breach of the city, this breach is where the enemy had come in and broke a hole now in it. And Solomon has repaired that breach. And this was the cause that Jeroboam lifted up his hand against Solomon. 28, and the man Jeroboam was a mighty man of valor, and Solomon saw the young man that he was industrious, and he gave him charge over all the labor of the house of Joseph. Joseph being this that is added by God. So Solomon sees Jeroboam, and he knows Jeroboam's a industrious man. He has a lot of potential. He has potential. So Solomon gave him a charge. He set him up as an officer now over the house of Joseph and over all the labor and these labors that Solomon has brought upon the house of Joseph. 29, and it came to pass at that time when Jeroboam went out of Jerusalem that the prophet Ahijah the Shilonite found him in the way. Now Ahijah had clad himself with a new garment, and they two were alone in the field. So now Jeroboam has gone out of Jerusalem, and he is out in the field, probably out doing whatever business he has. And he has come up across this prophet, and his name is Ahijah. Ahijah means my brother is God. And he is a Shilonite, and Shiloh is this place of rest, and Shilonite would be Shiloni, those of this place of rest. And he comes across Jeroboam in the way. Now Ahijah had put on a new garment. And now this new garment represents a new covering, this new understanding. And they two were alone in the field. Now the two witness this. God wants you to witness now this new garment, or this, what God is going to do, this new thing God's going to do. And Ahijah laid hold of the new garment that was on him, and rent it in 12 pieces. So now Ahijah, my brother is God, takes this new garment, and this means this new deal, this new covering, this new deal God is going to make, and he tears it into 12 pieces. 12 understanding now. These pieces represent that which is tore apart and broken. So, and 12, why? One for each tribe of the house of Israel. And he said to Jeroboam, take you 10 pieces, for thus saith the Lord, the God of Israel, behold, I will rend the kingdom out of the hand of Solomon, and will give 10 tribes to you. 10 for the law. See, this is because of the law is why God's doing this, because they continually keep breaking the law, which God is trying to make an example of. And he's going to give 10 tribes over to Jeroboam. And Jeroboam is this one who will contend with the nations. And we're going to learn a lot more about him as we go. 32, but he shall have one tribe, for my servant David's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, the city which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel. So God's going to leave now Solomon's house one tribe, and we'll find out this is exactly what's going to happen. And he's going to do it for David's sake, because and for Jerusalem's sake, the city which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel. So God's saying now that he has chosen Jerusalem, this place, and he's going to make an example out of it. That's why God always chooses one. He's going to make an example now there, this place of peaceful teachings, and for David's sake, because he's already going to make an example out of David, and Israel as well, because he's chose them to make an example out of. 3, because they have forsaken me, and have worshipped Ashtaroth, the goddess of the Zidonians, Chemosh, the god of Moab, and Milcom, the god of the children of Ammon. And they have not walked in my ways, to do that which is right in mine eyes, and to keep my statutes and my ordinances as David his father. And this is the reason God's going to do that, because when the king goes after these not gods, the nation follows him. He teaches him. He sets the example. He's the standard. He's the thing that's lifted up to set the example. So when they do wrong, all the nation follows. And this Ashtaroth, this nasty thing, this goddess of fertility, and when they practice these fertility rituals, these Adonians, these fishermen, they still do this today. And Chemosh, they do cause their children to pass through this fire that consumes. When you teach your children to do just like their fathers did, be disobedient to God, and disobey the law, and you cause them to pass through this fire. And Milcom, this nasty little godhead they set up, this Godhead image, this king image, Milcom, this Molech that they've set up, this Godhead that they say has the words of God in its mouth, and it's nothing but the nasty creation of the hands of men, still goes on today. See, they still don't walk after God. This is what was going to happen. This is what did happen. It's on a loop. It's going to keep repeating itself till you wake up. 34, however, I will not take the whole kingdom out of his hand, but I will make him prince all the days of his life for David my servant's sake, whom I chose because he kept my commandments and my statutes. And we'll remember now, David didn't quite keep all the commandments of God, but when he sinned, he quickly turned to God and accepted the punishment that God had to give him. And God found favor of David because he did this thing. Now, but his children did not. And God used his children now to build this great house, this great thing. And he's told him now, if you will obey me, I'll be with you. But if you don't, this great house I will make desolate. And we're going to find out that's exactly what God's going to do. This great house, even this great house God built. God built this up. God prospered man. See, God took David from the lowly shepherd and made him king. David didn't do it. God did. God did this. God built it up, and God's going to tear it down, see. It won't be done by the hand of any man. But we're going to notice now there's one tribe missing. See, one's going to be left to David as a lamp, and 10 are going to be given to Jeroboam. But there's one missing. This is a little remnant, this last little piece of cloth. God's got it in his own hand. He's going to keep it. We're going to find out now. It's going to be the Levite. 35, but I will take the kingdom out of his son's hand and will give unto you even 10 tribes. And these 10, once again, are going to represent this law and this judgment and this contention that's going to be sent among the nations for their violation of God, what they've done to God. They've went after these other gods, and God's going to send this as a witness against them. 36, and unto his son will I give 1 tribe, that David my servant may have a lamp always before me in Jerusalem, the city which I have chosen me to put my name there. And we're going to find out. God's going to leave a little lamp there in David's house. This little lamp. One little tribe. But God's tore the house apart now. And one remnant he's kept for himself. He's going to talk about this remnant all through the book. 37, and I will take you, and you shall reign over all that your soul desires, and shall be king over Israel. So God's telling Jeroboam now, or Ahijah is telling Jeroboam, that he's going to give him 10 tribes of Israel, and he's going to reign over all his soul desires. 37, and it shall be, if you will hearken unto all that I command you, and will walk in my ways, and do that which is right in mine eyes, to keep my statutes and my commandments, as David my servant did, that I will be with you, and build you a sure house, as I built for David, and I will give you Israel unto your hand. So what? What's God promising Jeroboam? He's promising him that if, once again, this qualifier, a little 2-letter word that you need to witness, if you will hearken unto all that I command you, and will walk in my ways, and do that which is right in mine eyes, keep my statutes and my commandments. See, this is always the qualifier. It's always going to be the qualifier. It's never, ever, never going to change. This is the everlasting covenant that was made with humanity. So, once again, God's issuing this qualifier to Jeroboam, and he's telling Jeroboam, if you will do this, I'm going to build you a sure house just like I built for David, my servant. We're going to find out that this is what's going to happen. 39, and I will for this afflict the seed of David, but not forever. See, now he's going to punish the seed of David because they didn't keep the commandment. God told him, if you will, but they didn't. So God's going to make an example now out of David, like he made an example out of Israel. The whole purpose, the whole way through. See, God's making an example. Why? He's showing you he's God. He can make an example. He's God. He can make these examples. I like to see some man try to pull this off. You can't do it. You won't be around long enough. 40. Solomon sought therefore to kill Jeroboam, but Jeroboam arose and fled into Egypt, unto Shishak, the king of Egypt, and was in Egypt until the death of Solomon. 40. Probation now. Solomon wants to kill Jeroboam because Solomon knows now God is going to punish him and his kingdom. He thinks if he kills Jeroboam, he can make it all go away. But it wouldn't. I mean, God just brings somebody else up against him. See, but this is the way men think. They think in the flesh. They think, well, I'll kill this one, and then I won't have to deal with the punishment of God. Oh, no, 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 no. No, you can go ahead, but God's just going to punish you anyway. See, He's going to punish you more and more greater now because you thought you could raise your hand against God. See, now he sent, Jeroboam has run off to Shishak. Shishak is this greedy one of fine linen. He's the king of Egypt. He is the Pharaoh. He is this king of this land of enclosures, and this fine linen representing the pure cloth of the garments of understanding. And he's greedy for it all. He wants all of it for himself. 41, now the rest of the acts of Solomon, and all that he did, his wisdom, are they not written in the book of the acts of Solomon? And we will find them there as we go through the book. We'll find and hear some of this great wisdom Solomon had. We see now, though, as he had been led astray, God had made an example now and used Solomon, and God lifted Solomon up in his great understanding and great wisdom. And we see that his heart went astray after these other gods, these not gods, these manufacturing of men, that we see Solomon's wisdom and all his understanding wasn't doing him that much good for his own benefit. 42, and the time that Solomon reigned in Jerusalem over all Israel was 40 years. 40, probation now, and years, this periods of the greater light, this understanding that comes, these rings, this is going to be this probationary period now, where peace is going to reign over the city of the peaceful teachings. But not forever. God is going to rend it now from the hand. 43, and Solomon slept with his fathers and was buried in the city of David his father, and Rehoboam his son reigned in his stead. And Rehoboam, this place made wide for the nations. We're going to find out this is Rechab, and we're going to learn later this one. It's going to hew Rechab into pieces. This wide place, this place that was made wide for the nations, this place prepared just for this purpose. And Rehoboam is going to be the son of Solomon. And we're going to see now this is going to be where God tears the kingdom in half. He's going to give part of it, 10 tribes, to Jeroboam, this one who contends with the nations. And one tribe he's going to leave with under the house of David, this place that shall be made wide for the nations. Okay, we're going to move on to chapter 12.